Well, last week, reporter Steve Shaw detailed serious allegations of player abuse within the Kingfisher football program, which is currently under investigation by both the OSBI and State Department of Education. This week, Steve returns with a bigger picture. Is this happening elsewhere in our state? And is this a new era that demands a new type of coach and new ways of developing student athletes? And Steve, those are important questions.
Rich, what better way to delve into such an uncomfortable subject than to talk to a couple of gentlemen who, when it comes to high school football in Oklahoma, have been there and done that.
But we've got problems. We've got real problems.
David Gore spent 38 years as a math teacher, administrator, and athletic director for Norman Public Schools. He also officiated high school football for 35 years. He says about 8 years ago, high school football around the Sooner State began to change in the name of safety.
Targeting, illegal blindside blocks, defenseless players. I'm using terms that 10 years ago didn't exist.
While those are positive changes, Gore says the way coaches coach has changed too, and not necessarily for the better. He says it used to be before games, head coaches would assure him if any of their players got out of line, let the coach know and he'd fix it.
We're not hearing that very much anymore. That bothers me. I will tell you, I am very concerned in 2022 at how many officials we have lost.
Gore says they're losing officials for football, basketball, and baseball at an alarming rate because they're sick of putting up with coaches, players, and parents who won't follow or respect the rules.
The coach doesn't say to us anymore, let me know and I'll take care of it. If we go have a conversation with a coach now, and please understand, this is not every coach. There are still coaches that take care of the situation, but it is a much bigger problem now with coaches who will say to us when we go have a conversation, Coach, number 75, we need you to take care of 75. He's saying a lot of things that doesn't need to be said. He's doing some things. You just referee the game. I'll take care of my kids if I need to. It's that kind of conversation. Well, these kids, they pick up on that real quick.
Gore has a good idea about where the central problem lies.
And I would suggest that probably we are dealing more than any other thing, lack of discipline. Whether it's the coach, whether it's mom and dad, it's a concern. It is a real concern.
You cannot leave kids unattended.
Gary Rose is a true Oklahoma high school coaching legend. From 1997 to 2001, he won 5 straight state football championships as head coach at Carl Albert in Midwest City. By the time he retired after 43 years in coaching in 2017, he'd won 10 state championships in all.
David Gore he hit it. Lack of discipline. Wherever you can start with the parents, with a principal, a head coach, assistant coaches. If you don't have standards and enforce them fairly and consistently, then you're opening yourself up for problems.
The OSBI and the State Education Department are investigating what some claim had been going on for years inside the Kingfisher Yellow Jackets football program. Head coach Jeff Myers, 3 assistants, and the school district are named in a lawsuit filed by a former player who claims those coaches knew about and even encouraged locker room abuse by upperclassmen bullies on the team. Attorney Cameron Spradling represents the young man who filed what is now a federal lawsuit.
It's a pattern, all right? We have statements from players going back 10 years that said the atmosphere they liken it to Lord of the Flies. That's how we lived in there, all right? Some of those were bullies themselves, that look back, 10 years from now, and now they want to say, I'm so sorry. They want to report that this culture created this situation that happened, and they feel guilty about it. Think about that. It traumatized them as well. A unique thing about this case is I went to ground on this, investigating this. Like, they have a championship basketball team. Is it happening on the basketball team, on the baseball team, on the track team? It only happened in the football program.
The Oklahoma Secondary School Activities Association regulates high school sports around the state. An OSSAA spokesman told me last week they never comment publicly about a specific school.
There are some incredibly talented coaches out there that do things the right way. There are coaches out there that maybe could do things differently if they would choose to.
Rose says the explosion of social media is a strong factor and one reason he retired.
There's too much information, too much false information, and too much, excuse my French again, that goes on social media. I mean, even in my last few years, we got kids yapping and talking trash to the Bombers or to the Eagles or to the guys at El Reno, the guys at Guthrie. That is not productive. And this is another big deal, is that you seniors, the sophomores need you to take care of them. You love your brothers, and we are not going to abuse or belittle or make fun of, and that's when I jump on that like a duck on a June bug if I find out or hear that. But you're not going to do that. We're family, and so if you have that kind of culture taught, I think that prevents a lot of stuff that's going on.
Neither David Gore nor Coach Rose were interested in talking directly about Kingfisher. And again, I've reached out to Kingfisher's head coach, his assistants, and the superintendent. I've gotten no response from the coaches, and the superintendent politely refused to comment. Rich?